There I was, standing behind the counter, taking orders as fast as I could, when suddenly, the customer from hell walked in. You know the type. Smug smile, impatient tapping, and a tone that just screams entitlement. Every restaurant worker's nightmare. But I didn't know it yet. I smiled and welcomed him like any other customer. Little did I know, my patience was about to be tested to its limits. The line was growing longer by the minute, and the tension in the room was thick. It was one of those days where you could feel the stress seeping into your bones, and even the smallest hiccup could tip the scales. My co-workers and I were doing our best to keep up with the orders, but the pressure was mounting. And then, Mr. Rude stepped up to the plate. He started off by snapping his fingers, demanding my attention, as if I hadn't just greeted him. Then, he began rattling off his order in a rapid-fire manner, not even pausing for breath. I tried to keep up, nodding and inputting his order, but it was clear he was getting annoyed. He sighed, rolled his eyes, and started to criticize me in front of everyone, saying that I was too slow and incompetent. My face flushed with embarrassment as my coworkers and customers looked on. I wanted to snap back at him, but I bit my tongue, trying to keep my composure. The last thing I needed was to cause a scene and make the situation worse. The tension in the room grew, and I could feel everyone's eyes on me, waiting to see how I would respond. I took a deep breath and forced a smile, repeating his order back to him to confirm. He seemed to take pleasure in correcting every little detail I got wrong, and I could feel my frustration growing with each passing second. But then, in the midst of his belittling, something unexpected happened. An elderly woman who had been waiting patiently in line spoke up, her voice filled with conviction. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice loud and clear. "I've been watching this young person do their best to keep up with the rush, and I think you're being incredibly rude. We're all in a hurry, but that's no excuse to treat someone like that." The room fell silent, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. I was shocked, as was Mr. Rude, who looked taken aback by her words. He tried to defend himself, but the elderly woman cut him off, saying that she'd been coming to this restaurant for years and had never seen such a disrespectful display. I could see the color drain from Mr. Rude's face as the other customers began to nod in agreement. The tables had turned, and suddenly, he was the one feeling embarrassed and ashamed. He muttered a half-hearted apology and quickly paid for his order before slinking away, avoiding eye contact with anyone in the room. As the line started moving again, and the atmosphere in the restaurant slowly returned to normal, the elderly woman approached me with a kind smile. She told me that she'd once worked in a restaurant herself and knew how difficult it could be to deal with difficult customers. She encouraged me to keep my head up and never let anyone get the better of me. Her words of wisdom and support meant more to me than she could ever know. As I continued to take orders and serve the customers, I felt a newfound sense of pride and confidence. I knew that even on the toughest days, I could handle whatever came my way. And as for Mr. Rude? Well, let's just say he never showed his face in our restaurant again. A neural narration story.